And I'll run you through the story of Vision 2030 and how it would enable and is already enabling fintech in Saudi Arabia. So just a couple of figures on Saudi Arabia. We'll give you an idea about the population and the growth of the population, which is one of the strongest, it's one of the strengths of Saudi Arabia. We've got a 32.5 million living in Saudi, roughly about 10 to 11% that are non-Saudi, but 50% of the population is under the age of 30. So talk about a potential human capital across all sectors. The foreign direct investment coming to Saudi Arabia, foreign inward stock, is about 231 billion. And as I promised you, I'm not going to run through the numbers. Sometimes they get boring, but just to get an idea, and we can chat more about it as we go on. And the growth rate is 2.5% of the population. So what is Vision 2030? It was introduced back in 2016, April, by Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince, and to follow the directions of the king, to move the economy of Saudi Arabia to a non-oil-based economy. That's the premise. That's as simple as it gets, but it's not that simple, and we'll go through it in a little bit. But this is a direct quote also from the king. My first objective is for our country to be a successful global model of excellence on all fronts, and I will work with you to achieve that. So the vision is based on 3 pillars. First, we wanted to achieve certain goals, and we had to build it on a premise, on an idea, and how we can structure it to benefit the economy. So these 3 pillars is that Saudi Arabia connecting 3 continents, that it's an investment powerhouse, and it's also the heart of the Arab and Muslim world. Taking these 3 pillars and coupling them with 3 themes generated a very good list of goals, very, very ambitious goals to be achieved by 2030. At the same time, following these 3 themes. And I'm not going to bore you with the numbers, but we will run through some examples to just give you a taste that it touches these 3 themes. The themes that I just skipped, actually, are a thriving economy, a thriving economy and a vibrant society and an ambitious nation. So if we talk about the economy, it's like increasing the foreign direct investment from 3.8 to 5.7%, for example. Increasing the contribution of the private sector to the GDP, increasing the contribution of the SME's contribution to GDP. That's pure economical. And also, a good example, some of you might have heard of the Public Investment Fund. It's a sovereign fund, increasing the assets from 600 billion Saudi riyals to 7 trillion by year 2030. Some of the examples on the thriving nation is rallying 1 million volunteers a year. And also other aspects like increasing life expectancy and so on and so on and so on. So very, very long list, and this is just the tip of the spear. And which is great, very ambitious. But what's even better is making sure we achieve these goals. So there was a new layer that was introduced into the government, and it's the vision realization programs. And these programs are put there as a layer between the highest authority in the country, the highest council, and all of the ministries and the commissions to make sure all of these ambitious goals are achieved. And their role is to introduce and delegate and also receive initiatives that will support the mission goal, the vision goals. Some examples is the National Industrial Development and Logistics Programs. It has so many initiatives that will support the industrial sector. The Life Improvement Program, which is also, you might have heard a lot of news on the development on the entertainment in Saudi Arabia. The Financial Sector Development Program, which is, touches on what we're here doing today. Having all of these programs, having all of these visions created so many opportunities, almost in every sector, but there are sectors of priority. So what is Invest Saudi? It's basically a slogan. It's a brand of the country that we're all united as one, representing Saudi Arabia as a world-class destination for investments. And we've been participating internationally, covering different topics with different stakeholders of specialty. Here today we're Fintech Saudi, that I will elaborate on in a minute. So when you think of Saudi Arabia, a lot of people don't know much about Saudi Arabia, and they would think, why would I go to Saudi Arabia? Well, let me tell you why. Currently, the country is going through a reform journey. And being so many reforms across all regulations that actually touches on the ease of doing business, on how everything is being done, how making everything easier. And if you're there at this time, if anybody is there, you will be part of that reform and regulation change. And the reason why, every government entity now, I'm trying not to lose time there. So every government entity is mandated on basically consulting the private sector before they pass any regulation that will affect them. So, and all other stakeholders and initiatives, they will actually lobby on your behalf to make sure regulations are in your favor. So that's a very key reason. Again, the game-changing opportunities that and across all sectors, the entertainment, for example, was completely unlocked. It's a new unlocked sector. The education sector were completely unlocked. All new sectors or industries that were not allowed for others to contribute in or even own in the past now are open. Integrated infrastructure and property solutions, which I don't think it matters here much, but it's really cheap. The land is really cheap there. The young and skilled workforce, and I really highlight that because it's one of the main strengths. Quality of life, it's changing to the right direction. No tax on income, so on and so forth. And a lead in financial sectors, we have a very, very sound financial sector. So these are the priority sectors of investment in Saudi Arabia. And our topic today is actually a very, it's a high priority sector as well, but we think of verticals like fintech as an emerging market in Saudi. So in the General Investment Authority, anybody interested in going to Saudi Arabia, we are basically support that process from A to Z. We think of ourselves as a free of charge consultant. We want to do it for the good, but we're not looking for people to just come in. We're thinking of sustainable, high impact entities or companies or people or thoughts or initiatives that come to Saudi Arabia. And we're there to make sure that you do it the right way and support you. This is a big, we put this on one slide because this is big. In the past, anybody planning to go to Saudi Arabia had to have a partner by law. And now 100% foreign ownership, across many different types of licenses is available. So the doors are open. And we're trying to change the regulations to serve different type of industries. So let's make the best out of that. We're here to help. Just an honorable mention, I talked about regulation reform. There is a committee that happens every week called TASIR, where regulation changes on a weekly basis. It's the fastest rate across a lot of countries globally to actually change reforms, regulations that would affect businesses coming into Saudi Arabia, and also ease of doing business, e-government, and so on. Just a quick example, visa or commercial visas normally take 15 days. They made it happen in 24 hours and so on. And we can discuss that later if you're of interest. And you can access their website and I can share it later. Okay, this brings us to a topic at hand. That was a good background. Vision 2030 and FinTech. Vision 2030 is basically aimed to support entrepreneurship and SME development, and also tackling the financial inclusion and promoting a cashless economy, and also the human capital development. And also the main premise is diversification of the economy. Financial technology or FinTech, supporting the FinTech and SMEs development and product and services for all SMEs in Saudi Arabia, and also promoting a cashless economy, there are a lot of synergies between FinTech and the Vision 2030 goals. This brings us up to Fintech Saudi initiative. It's an initiative by Saudi Arabian Monetary Agency, and it's set to support the development of financial services technology industry in Saudi Arabia. This initiative is focused on a number of elements: community, the international stream, regulation support, risk capital, talent, education, and bank stream, and physical space. The aim is to turn Saudi Arabia hopefully in a few coming years into an innovative fintech hub by enabling all of the aspects of the ecosystem. So by creating a culture of collaboration, build a broad understanding in the community in Saudi Arabia about fintech, and also supporting the fintech entrepreneurship. One of the efforts that is enabling the ecosystem, as Fintech Saudi have already started on building up the stakeholder network in Saudi Arabia, and with banks, with ministries, with government, other government entities, with accelerators and incubators and so on, which will push the ecosystem development forward. So international fintechs are very important to Saudi Arabia because of these three reasons. We believe that many fintech companies or startups worldwide have a ready-to-go market, ready to go to market products and services that Saudi Arabia could benefit from, and the opportunity is very, very clear there. The knowledge transfer on some of the aspects of the fintech industry that has not been developed yet in Saudi Arabia. So the knowledge transfer is very, very big. And also the job creation. Think of a fintech company established in Saudi, passing the knowledge and providing more jobs locally and being supported fully by the government. This is what we're looking for, and these are the legitimate reasons. But why would the fintech company go to Saudi again? So I want you to think of it from a market perspective, and also think of it of the demographics. Again, we talked about the population. And the population of Saudi Arabia is actually 60% of the Gulf country population. Half of the population is under age of 30, which is a lot of digital use. We got 88% smartphone penetration, and 74% with basically bank account. But cash on delivery is still a big thing at the same time. So we can go on certain aspects of why you should be there, but government support, the need, and the opportunity are the very main things. So Fintech Saudi, the initiative, has a dedicated team, and they would help you along the way with these points that I'm going to mention. They will support you finding customers. They will help you navigate the fintech regulation. They will also help with the investment inquiries and how to grow in Saudi Arabia, access to service providers, and support with finding good and local talents. Thank you very much, and this was my time. Thank you.
So thank you. We've got time for some questions. So we've got a couple of mics on the floor if anyone would like to ask a question, and we'll just bring up the Slido questions if we could, please. So these questions are just coming from the audience. Yeah. So how big a role does the National Innovation Strategy play in Vision 2030?
How big National Innovation Strategy Plan and Vision 2030? Well, that's a very broad question, I have to say. I'm going to try to link it with the fintech. Supporting innovation in Saudi Arabia, it's a very solid, I'm not sure who asked that question, I'm trying to lock eyes with someone, but it's a very strong pillar of the vision, is supporting innovation, enabling SMEs, and to what extent exactly does the vision play, does that National Innovation Strategy play? All of strategies and all initiatives plug in under the vision. So you got the vision as an umbrella and you got goals, and each goal has a lot of strategies that plug in into it. So the innovation strategy would plug into one of these goals, however it enables. If this strategy enables, for example, increase of number of jobs in a certain element, then that will plug in. And normally different stakeholders have their initiatives that will enable one of the goals and help reach it. And a number of initiatives next to each other will achieve one goal. So I hope that answered that question.
Thanks. Do you have any recent examples of success of Saudi-led fintech startups that you could talk about?
I do have some examples, and maybe whoever asked that question can find me afterwards and I can show you a list of fintech companies. It's still a small community. But I don't want to mention a specific company, to be honest, but I can mention it on one basis, yeah.
Great. Well, come find him if you'd like to find out a little bit more. What about how friendly Saudi is for ICOs and blockchain labs?
How friendly? Well, I would say very friendly, yeah. Very, very friendly. I hope so, at least. But yeah, I think, no seriousness, yeah, I think Saudi is being friendly about fintech in periods right now. It's not all roses and flowers, and things are changing. We're going to the right direction. And with your help, with your feedback, with you coming to Saudi Arabia, we can push that to the right direction. even if it's not friendly, we'll make sure it gets and becomes friendly. So.
That's a great answer. Any questions from the floor? Microphone over here, please. And up front, maybe you can go first. You haven't had a question all day. You can go second. You've had one. He had some yesterday too. I'm just spreading it around.
Luke? Huh?
Martin.
Yes.
Thank you for the presentation. So I want to ask you about the peer-to-peer space. What sort of regulation do you have in on that end? And also, how are you competing with the IFC? Because they're very structured and...
That's a very good question. Well, on the regulation in particular, again, I can't give specifics on regulations right now to you in a quick answer, but I do have the team who are specialties, they specialize in the regulation who could help. The reason I just don't want to give the wrong answer now. On the part of the competition, it's a very, we don't think of it as a competition. We honestly think of a regional kind of hub. So whether someone is there or in Saudi, and it's a community that supports each other. They're a fierce competitor if you think of it that way, absolutely. But we do believe that having the majority share of the market, having the largest number of population, having the full support of all of the government entities to making sure that fintech succeeds in Saudi will give us the edge at the end. Yeah.
Inshallah.
Great, thanks. We'll go to the gentleman behind you. Anyone else for last question? All right, sir.
Thank you for your presentation. Very interesting indeed. Yeah, I travel often to the Middle East. Unfortunately, I have never been to your country, so I hope I will be able to do that in the future.
You're free tomorrow? We can...
Okay. Yeah, well, it's a bit too hot right now at this time of the year, but we could try. Anyway, what I was going to ask is about a blockchain event. Can you confirm me that you are going to hold a blockchain event in the winter or in autumn, more or less?
There have been some events in the past.
International or local?
All of the events that we hold are international. If someone internationally, plan to come, so yeah, but I have to check on that, to be honest.
Yeah, because I found it and I tried to get details and I didn't get details.
Because some events are government supported and some events are third party supported, and they're all good. There's no difference. But I'm saying I would normally know of the things that were sponsoring or supporting. They're all good, but I will check, and if anybody's interested knowing about any of the events in Saudi Arabia, in fintech, in blockchain, in AI, anything related, anything tech, feel free to contact me after we exchange information, and I'll keep you posted. Yeah.
So fantastic. So I'm not going to be around for a while. No, you can talk to him at lunchtime. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, yeah. So he's going to be around. If you want to talk to him at lunchtime, if you're interested in Saudi Arabia, he's open for business. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
That was great.